Welcome to Needham School Spotlight. I'm Dan Gutekanst, Superintendent of Schools. Many folks have been asking about the upcoming and proposed Newman renovation and its various components. Join me today for an insider's view of Newman and the various components that make up this project that will ensure the health and safety of our students and staff and extend the useful life of this building for generations to come. So we are in the computer room at the Newman Elementary School, and this is where it all began. This is where we noticed that the ductwork, which is connected to this vent, the underground ductwork, has slowly been deteriorating over time, and that has caused significant indoor air quality problems for the Newman School. These vents and the ductwork associated with these vents will all be replaced in the upcoming and planned renovation. They'll be replaced with brand new ductwork throughout the building. We will install gas-fired rooftop units in the entire building. In addition, there'll be structural steel that will be installed to support those components, electrical upgrades throughout the building, and technology upgrades to support the equipment. And there'll be new interior components to encase the HVAC ductwork. All of this is designed to provide, for the first time and for a very long time, a very thoughtful system of heating, ventilation, and air conditioning for the entire Newman School community. The Massachusetts School Building Authority has agreed that this is a very good and a solid project. They've been working closely with us, and they've agreed to fund up to 40%, or about $8.6 million of this project as we move forward. One of the questions folks have been asking is, why can't we just keep the temporary system that was installed about a year ago as a result of this initial problem in the computer room and in the media center? Chip Laffey, the Director of Public Facilities, can help us understand that. Chip, thanks for joining me. You're the one, as the Director of Public Facilities, who has to maintain all the schools and buildings in town. We have behind us part of the temporary system that was installed in 20% of the building, not the entire building, to get us through this period of time. But what does temporary mean? A lot of folks have been wondering, can't we just keep this system in place forever?
Well, Doctor, what you need to understand with these temporary units, they're exactly what they say they are, temporary. Let's just take a look at the piping you see here. This 24-inch diameter pipe is actually doubled walled with only 1 inch of insulation in between the two walls. With that being said, in order for this unit to become effective, as this unit is heated up with the steam coil on the inside and the air is passed over it, the air travels through these pipes and into the adjoining classrooms. But with that being said, the first thing we have to heat are the pipes before we can actually heat the classrooms because of that 1 inch of insulation. With
and that's this ductwork here?
That's correct.
Okay.
This is a double wall pipe with 1 inch of insulation in between. Only being 1 inch, it's a very low R factor. So we actually have to heat these pipes up before we can actually start heating up the spaces.
And what about all these pipes running down here? Is this, it's temporary, where would those be in a permanent design?
Those would be inside the building. That's a very good point. Those two pipes you see behind us, one is the steam feed, the lower pipe, and the top pipe is the condensate return. Now, if you understand New England winters, it gets very cold during the months of January, February, basically sub-zero. Now, as our boilers cycle in this building, basically when the building is satisfied, the boilers will shut off. At that point, any steam in the system condenses the moisture. With that being said, the problems we have with these temporary units, they literally freeze. We do have heat trace tape on the condensate returns, but that's not up in the valves. The valves freeze, so when the boilers come back on, these things are no longer operating until we get here and thaw them out.
So we have a good temporary system that is providing heating and ventilation for our classrooms, but only 20% of the building.
That's correct.
However, it is temporary, and this is, the engineers say, has various components that can last a few years to a few more years, anywhere from 3 to 6 or 3 to 5 years, but this is not a permanent solution to the Newman problem.
By no means.
Okay.
It's strictly what they say, temporary.
And by the way, you need to have some ongoing maintenance to make sure that, as you said, everything's working. So this is a different kind of a maintenance problem than you would have in one of our newer buildings where there'd be less hands-on maintenance keeping the system running throughout the winter.
That's correct. Because of the way the system is set up, we have to constantly check the programming in the old air handling room as the seasons change and change the programming to adapt it to what's needed inside the classrooms. Additionally, the control valves have to be inspected almost on a weekly basis to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, while they're installing the heating and ventilation units for the entire building, one of the components of this project is to replace the roof all the way around the building. That's important because one of the things that will happen is that energy efficient insulation will be put on the roof. That will help lower energy costs over the long term, and that's a major component of this project. In addition, the exterior of the building, which we realize the entire building, and this is important, is structurally sound. It's a solid building, and the MSBA believes it's a good investment. But different components of the exterior of the building, for example, where there's concrete that might be chipped or stained, that concrete throughout the exterior of the building will be remediated and will be repaired. Another significant aspect of this program is the necessary code work that will be required as a result of all the renovations that take place. The Americans with Disability Act requires that we upgrade to provide handicap accessibility in this building where it doesn't presently exist. This building will be outfitted with a fire suppression system that does not exist in this building and that will absolutely help with the safety of all of its occupants. And by the way, is a component that is part of all new construction in the town of Needham. And lastly, another significant part of the code are seismic upgrades so that this building is sturdy in the event of an earthquake.